The second is he delivers his own baby on live TV by Decathlon. Like the link to the video will be the description on top. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link to the video will be in the description below. Go and check them out. So let's get into this vaccine 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh.
He was supposed to be a guest for a morning talk show, just another episode filled with laughter and
Yeah.
lighthearted conversation. The cameras were rolling, the hosts were smiling, and millions of viewers were tuned in. But within minutes, the show turned into something no one could have scripted, because right there, under the blinding studio lights, a man began going into labor. Yes, a
Oh,
man. On live television. And before the audience could even process what was happening, he
yeah.
was delivering his own baby. His name was Daniel Carter, a 29-year-old from Ohio. To most people, Daniel looked like any ordinary young man. Short brown
Yeah.
hair, a strong jawline, always carrying a calm presence. But what many didn't know, at least not until that day, was that Daniel had been born intersex.
Really?
Intersex individuals are born with biological traits that don't fit the typical definitions of male or female. In
Really?
Daniel's case, he had male features externally but still carried a small, underdeveloped uterus inside his body. Doctors had told him years ago that pregnancy was not impossible, but extremely rare and dangerous. Daniel never thought much about it. He lived his life as a man, had a job, a relationship, and dreams like anyone else. Until
Yeah.
something happened that no one expected. Months before the talk show incident, Daniel had started noticing strange symptoms. Constant nausea in the mornings, sudden mood swings, unusual weight gain around his abdomen. At first, he brushed it off as stress. But
Yeah.
when his stomach began to grow visibly larger, panic set in. Daniel avoided going to the doctor out of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being told something was horribly wrong. Deep down, he suspected the truth, but saying it out loud felt impossible. Could he actually be pregnant? After weeks of denial, Daniel finally went for a medical checkup.
Yeah.
The doctor, stunned but professional, performed an ultrasound. And there it was, clear as day. A tiny heartbeat flickering on the screen. Daniel's egg had somehow been fertilized. But how? This was the biggest medical mystery in his case. Unlike
Legally.
most men, Daniel still carried remnants of reproductive tissue, ovaries, and a uterus that had never been fully functional. But under the right circumstances, fertility wasn't entirely impossible. Doctors explained that his hormone levels and anatomy aligned just enough to allow ovulation. During an intimate moment with his
Really?
partner, one of his eggs had been fertilized naturally. Against astronomical odds, life had found a way. Most people, when faced with this shocking revelation, would be overwhelmed.
Yep, that's a baby bomb.
Daniel was. But after the initial shock, he made a brave decision. He would carry the baby. He kept his pregnancy mostly private, telling
Yeah.
only his closest friends and family. The public didn't know. Even his colleagues had no idea. He continued life as usual, hiding under baggy clothes and avoiding social events. But as the months passed, it became
Yeah.
harder to hide. And eventually, the world would find out, in the most unexpected way. Daniel had been invited to a popular morning talk show to share his journey as
Morning
an
talk show.
intersex man. The producers knew he had a rare story, but they didn't know the full truth, that he was heavily pregnant and just days away from delivery. The live show began smoothly. Daniel sat across from the hosts, answering questions about his childhood, his struggles, and the importance of awareness. The audience
Yeah.
clapped and cheered, unaware of what was about to unfold. Then, mid-sentence, Daniel froze. A sharp pain shot through his
Oh,
body. His hand instinctively went to his stomach. The hosts looked concerned. "Are you okay?" one asked, laughing nervously. But Daniel wasn't okay. His water had just broken. Panic
oh,
spread instantly. The producers
yep. He going into level. Yep.
scrambled off camera. The hosts didn't know what to say, and the live audience gasped as they realized what was happening. Daniel gritted his teeth as another contraction hit. There was no time to rush him to a hospital.
No.
He was going into full labor, right there, on stage, in
Yeah.
front of millions of viewers watching from home. The crew called
Legally. Yeah.
911, but the paramedics would take precious minutes to arrive. Those minutes Daniel didn't have. And
Nope.
so, with the cameras still rolling and the world watching, Daniel made the most unthinkable decision. He would deliver his own baby. What happened next was both terrifying and extraordinary. Daniel positioned himself on the studio floor, guided by instinct and sheer willpower. The audience sat in stunned silence, some covering their mouths, others crying. The hosts tried to comfort him, handing him towels, pillows, and whatever they could find. Between screams and gasps for air, Daniel coached himself through the process. I can do this. I have to
Yeah,
do
you can
this,
do this.
he
Yeah,
repeated, almost like a
yes, you can.
mantra. The
Yeah.
contractions came faster, stronger. Sweat poured down his face as he bore down, fighting against fear and pain. Minutes felt like hours. Then finally, with one last push, a cry filled the air. A baby, a healthy baby, born on live television,
Oh,
delivered by his own father, the very man who carried him. The studio erupted. Some audience members sobbed uncontrollably. Others clapped
oh,
and cheered through their shock. The hosts were speechless. Daniel cradled the tiny newborn in his arms, tears streaming down his face. He had just done what most thought was impossible,
yeah,
not only carrying a child, but delivering it on his own, without
yeah,
doctors, without a hospital, and under the eyes of millions.
yeah.
Paramedics arrived moments later, cutting through the chaos and taking Daniel and the baby to the hospital. Both were stable, both were safe, and both were forever part of medical history. News outlets
Literally,
exploded with the story. Headlines read, "Man gives birth on live TV. Medical
literally, yeah.
miracle stuns the world. Daniel Carter, the father who delivered his own baby." Doctors across the globe debated the science. Experts explained how intersex conditions can sometimes allow rare pregnancies.
Yeah,
But beyond the medical explanations, people saw something deeper, an act of bravery, resilience, and the power of life itself.
yeah.
As reporters dug deeper, Daniel shared his journey openly. He explained how his egg had been fertilized, how his body had defied all odds,
Hmm.
and how he had chosen to
Yeah.
embrace the unexpected miracle. He spoke about the fear, the loneliness, and the
Not
strength it took to
only
carry a child while living as a man. And he urged people to see intersex individuals not as anomalies, but as
yeah.
humans with unique stories worth respecting.
True.
Daniel named his baby boy Ethan. The two became inseparable. His
Oh,
story inspired documentaries, medical journals, and countless conversations about gender, biology, and the limitless possibilities of the human body. Though Daniel never asked for fame, his story became a beacon of courage,
yeah.
a reminder that life doesn't always follow the rules we expect,
True.
and sometimes miracles happen in the most impossible ways.
I do, yeah.
What happened with Daniel was not just a rare medical case, it was a lesson in human resilience. His journey showed that courage can be found in the most
Yeah.
unexpected places and that the human body is far more complex than we often realize. It also carried an important reminder. Health is deeply personal, and every body is unique.
Yeah.
What seems impossible may, under extraordinary circumstances, become reality. So now the question is, if you had been in that studio audience, watching a man deliver his own baby live on stage, what would your reaction have been? Shock, amazement, or something else entirely?
Reminds me, yeah.
Because one thing is certain, Daniel Carter's story is something no one will ever forget.
No. Abi, Amaz, yeah. But he delivered his own baby on the TV by Dakatos. And link to the video will be the description below. Go and check them out and drop a like if you like, and comment below if you want to see more reaction like this one. And subscribe if you're new, and click the bell so you can be notified when I upload. And if wasn't on Twitter, the link to the video will be on top. Follow me and click the bell so you can be notified and when I upload and post. And follow me in the month. Bye. Wow. Congrats on the baby.